Structure of quadratics. So this is our next unit. We're going to be talking about quadratics more. Last unit we were more talking about transforming quadratics. This is where we're going to get into solving quadratics and talking about all of the features of quadratics. So quadratic is made up of polynomials, and it could look like 4x squared plus 2x plus 1. Remember that x squared makes it a quadratic. So a polynomial is a sum of expressions that include numbers, variables, or products of numbers and variables. Okay. We name them based on the number of terms they have. So terms are separated by addition and subtraction signs. I'm going to fix my zoom because it's a little off. Okay, so if we write down this example up here, you can see that there are three terms. So the 4x squared plus 2x plus 1. This is a term. This is a term. And that's a term. There are three different terms. There are only two addition signs, but the first one doesn't have an addition sign, so this is a term, this is a term, and this is a term. If something only has one term, like if it would have just looked like that, then it would be called a monomial. So a monomial, mono means one, so mono has one term, like 6 or 7x or 4xy cubed. Notice it doesn't matter how many letters, numbers, or variables are in that term, it's still just one term. So since there's a 6, since there's a 7x, or a 4xy cubed, these are all separate examples. So this is example 1, example 2, example 3. Since all three of them do not have an addition sign, they're all monomials. Okay, the next one is a binomial. Just like bicycle, it has two terms. So examples of that would be 3x plus 20. Another example would be 2x squared plus 8xy. Okay, the next one, those are all binomials because there's an addition sign separating the two terms. The next one is trinomial. Tri stands for, or means it has three terms. So 3x squared plus 4x minus 12, that's the first example. Then 5xy squared plus 2x plus 4. Notice those are two different examples because there are three terms. Again, doesn't matter how many letters or numbers there are, it just is three different terms. Okay. The next thing that we talk about is degree of a polynomial. So degree and we're going to say degree of a single term. So we have to look at the degree of the terms before we can look at the degree of the whole polynomial. So the degree is the sum of the exponents associated with variables. So I'm going to give you some examples. So these are just the terms. This is the degree of the term. So if I have 3x squared, 5x, 7, and 5m, n cubed. So if you look at that, what it means by the degree is, notice it says the sum of the exponents associated with the variable. So if you look at this one, the variable is squared, so the degree is 2. If you look at 5x, it doesn't have an exponent, but if you just have an x, remember that means you just have one of whatever it is. So my degree would be 1. Now this one doesn't have any variables. So since it doesn't have any variables, you would say the degree is 0 because you don't have any variables. And then this one, 5mn cubed. Now if you look, m has an exponent of 1, and you have 3 n's, or n cubed, I'm sorry. So it'd be 1 plus 3. So 1 plus 3 equals 4. So the degree of this term is 4. Now, the reason we talk about degrees of a polynomial, the reason we talk about this is because the degree of an entire polynomial decides what the parent function is. So if you just have a 3x, then that would be linear. If you have a 5x squared plus 3x, then it would be quadratic because it has that x squared. So degree of the polynomial is the highest degree from all of the terms. So I'm going to write a big chart. I'm going to put 4 separate things in this chart. So polynomial, degree of each term, degree of polynomial. So degree of the polynomial means the whole thing. Degree of the term means of each term. And then we're going to put the parent function. Okay, so the first one, if I have 3x squared plus 5x, if I'm going to have 8 minus x and 7x to the 4th plus 5x minus 3. Okay, so if you look at that, this first one, the first term has a degree of 2. The second term has a degree of 1 because it doesn't have one listed. So degree of the polynomial is the highest degree. So this would be squared, or the 2. The degree is 2 because that's the highest degree. Okay? And then the parent function, so I'm going to go ahead and type this in just so that you can see it. So if I have 3x squared plus 5x, if you hit graph on that, notice it makes that parabola, so then the parent function is quadratic. Okay, the next one, you have 8 doesn't have a variable, so it would just be 0. The next one has a degree of 1, so it would have a degree of 1. The highest out of that is 1. So if you let's type this one in. So 8 minus x, graph it. Notice it's just a line. So that would be linear. Okay. And the next one, if you look, first degree is 4. Second degree is 1. And then there's 0 variables, so it would be 4, 1, and 0. So the highest degree is 4. So my degree of polynomial is 4. And then if I type this one in, 7x to the 4th plus 5x minus 3. You've probably never seen one like this before. You can see that there's a little weird part right there. It's not exactly a parabola because it's not exactly symmetric. So this is actually called quartic. But that's just the names of them. So if it's a first degree, it's linear. If it has a degree of 2, it's quadratic. If it has a degree of 3, it's cubic. And 4 is quartic. So those are just for naming the different variables. Okay, the last definition that we're going to write down is for standard form. So standard form is when the polynomial is written in order of highest degree to lowest degree. So the only one that's not, so if you look at these right here, 2, 1, 0, 1, 4, 1, 0, the only one that's not written in standard form is this middle one. So what it means to have standard form is that the highest degree comes first. So since this one has a degree of 0 and this has a degree of 1, that x would have to actually be written first. So you would actually have to write it as negative x plus 8. So it would be written as negative x plus 8. Don't forget to take the sign with it. So that's a negative x. So you have to take the negative out front. Let's do another example. So if we had 4x minus 9x squared plus 4x cubed minus 5x to the 4th. You want the highest degree first. So since this one has a degree of 4, that would have to go first. So 4. This one has a degree of 3, so it would go next. Then 2, and then 1. So I would have to write it as Notice, again, take the negative with it, so it'd be negative 5x to the fourth plus 4x cubed minus 9x squared plus 4x. So that would be my equation written in standard form. Okay, there is an assignment. Make sure that you write stuff down if you need to do something like that, or if you're okay doing it in your head, then just do it in your head.